Tired of overpriced fertilizers and chemical sprays that never seem to work? What if I told you there's a way to grow stronger, healthier plants using methods that have been around for generations, quietly perfected by the Amish? These people live close to the land and grow food the old-fashioned way, but their techniques are anything but outdated. In this video, we're diving into 10 completely free, 100% organic gardening hacks used by Amish communities. Tricks you probably haven't heard of, but you'll definitely wish you knew sooner. Number 1. Use of copper for fungal control. One of the lesser-known but highly effective natural hacks the Amish use in their gardens is copper for fungal control. This method isn't new, but it's often overlooked by modern gardeners who rely heavily on store-bought fungicides. The Amish, known for keeping things simple and chemical-free, use a traditional trick involving copper coins or small copper pieces placed directly in the soil or near plant roots. It's subtle, low effort, and surprisingly powerful. Copper is a natural fungicide. When it comes into contact with moisture in the soil, it releases small amounts of copper ions. These ions disrupt the biological processes of fungal spores, making it difficult for mold, mildew, and other fungal pathogens to spread and survive. The result is a natural zone of protection around the root system, where fungi can't easily take hold. The Amish typically place a few clean copper pennies, ideally ones minted before 1982 since those contain a high percentage of real copper, near the base of plants that are especially prone to fungal issues. This includes tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, roses, and even houseplants like peace lilies. They may also bury thin strips of copper wire around the perimeter of raised beds or inside pots. Unlike chemical sprays, copper doesn't wash off with rain or need frequent reapplication. It works slowly and steadily, releasing just enough to affect pathogens without harming beneficial soil organisms or the plant itself. That's a big deal in organic gardening, where maintaining a balanced soil ecosystem is everything. But there's more to it than just tossing pennies into the dirt. The Amish clean the copper first, either by scrubbing with lemon juice and salt or soaking in vinegar to remove oxidation. This allows the metal to interact more effectively with the surrounding soil and moisture. Some even drill tiny holes into the pennies to increase the surface area that touches the soil, enhancing the slow release of copper ions over time. It's important to note that while copper is beneficial in small doses, too much can eventually build up and affect soil health. That's why the Amish use it sparingly and rotate the use of copper between seasons or areas of the garden. This trick combines old world wisdom with real science. It's low cost, it works, and it fits perfectly with organic gardening methods that focus on prevention rather than reaction. For anyone dealing with recurring powdery mildew or root rot, this might be the quiet solution you've been missing. Number 2. Natural fertilization with kitchen scraps. The Amish have always taken a waste-nothing approach to daily life, and their gardens are no exception. One of their most practical and resourceful habits is turning everyday kitchen scraps into powerful, free fertilizer. This method not only reduces waste, but also gives plants exactly what they need, straight from the household. No fancy products required. One of the most overlooked but highly effective practices involves reusing boiled cooking water. After boiling potatoes, pasta, eggs, or even vegetables, the leftover water is rich in minerals that leach out during the cooking process. For example, egg water contains calcium, which is critical for preventing blossom end rot in tomatoes, peppers, and squash. Potato water contains potassium and starches that can support root development and help plants absorb other nutrients more efficiently. Instead of letting that mineral-rich water go down the drain, the Amish let it cool and then use it to water their garden beds. It's an easy routine that turns waste into something truly beneficial. Another trick is using crushed eggshells. These are full of calcium carbonate, which slowly breaks down in the soil and provides a long-term calcium source for plants. The Amish usually rinse the shells, let them dry, then crush them by hand or with a rolling pin. They sprinkle the crushed shells around the base of plants that are prone to calcium deficiency, like tomatoes, zucchini, and peppers. Over time, the eggshells break down and become part of the soil, supporting stronger cell walls and healthier growth. They also make use of coffee grounds, especially for plants that love slightly acidic soil, such as blueberries, strawberries, and roses. Coffee grounds contain nitrogen, which is a key nutrient for leafy green growth. The Amish either mix the grounds directly into the compost pile or sprinkle them in thin layers around plants as a top dressing. It's important not to overdo it, though, since too many coffee grounds in one spot can clump together and block water. Another simple addition is vegetable peels and fruit scraps. While these aren't buried directly in planting areas due to the risk of attracting pests, the Amish often dig shallow trenches between garden rows, drop in the scraps, cover them with soil, and let them break down naturally. This trench composting process slowly releases nutrients into the soil while also improving texture and moisture retention. Altogether, these habits show how the Amish turn kitchen waste into natural fertilizer. It's low-cost, eco-friendly, and incredibly effective, proving that you don't need store-bought products to grow strong, healthy plants. Number 3, winter tomato propagation. One of the most underrated Amish gardening tricks is their winter tomato propagation method. A simple but clever way to get a head start on the next season without buying seeds or starter plants. It works especially well if you have tomatoes that you loved and want to grow again, and it doesn't require any fancy equipment. Just a pot, some soil, and time. Here's how it works. In the late summer or fall, when tomatoes are at their ripest and most flavorful, you choose a healthy, fully mature tomato. Ideally one that hasn't been sprayed with chemicals and comes from a strong, disease-resistant plant. You slice it horizontally into thick rounds about half an inch thick. Each slice contains dozens of seeds already inside their natural jelly coating. Next, you prepare a pot filled with quality garden soil. You don't need a huge container. Something the size of a small bucket or standard flower pot works fine. Lay the tomato slices flat on the surface of the soil, spacing them out so they don't overlap too much. Then cover the slices lightly with another layer of soil, just enough to hide them, maybe a quarter to half an inch deep. You don't want them buried too deep. Now comes the interesting part. Instead of keeping this pot in the warmth and light like you normally would when starting seeds, the Amish place the pot in a cool, dark location, usually an unheated barn, basement, or root cellar. The key is that the environment stays cold, but not freezing. You're not trying to grow anything right away. You're putting the seeds into a kind of natural dormancy, like how they would overwinter in the wild. And you don't water it during this time, like just leave it alone. Then, when early spring arrives and the temperatures start to climb, you bring the pot out into the light, preferably somewhere warm like a sunny windowsill or a greenhouse shelf. You begin watering the soil gently, and within a week or two, you'll see something amazing. Dozens of little tomato seedlings popping up from where the slices were buried. They germinate naturally and at the right time, triggered by the changing light and warmth. What makes this method special is how simple and hands-off it is. No drying seeds, no labeling envelopes, no indoor seed trays with plastic lids. And because the seeds are from a tomato that already grew well in your garden, they're likely to be strong and adapted to your conditions. It's a low-effort, high-reward method passed down through generations, and it just works. Number 4, mulching with straw. One of the most effective and widely used Amish gardening practices is mulching with straw. It's a simple, low-cost technique that delivers multiple benefits, especially in organic gardens where synthetic solutions are avoided. The Amish use straw not just to keep their gardens tidy, but as a powerful tool to protect and enrich the soil. Straw mulch serves first and foremost as a moisture barrier. It slows down evaporation, meaning the soil underneath stays moist longer. That's especially helpful during hot, dry periods when water is limited, or when gardens are located off-grid, where regular irrigation might not be practical. With a proper layer of straw, usually 2 to 3 inches thick, watering needs are significantly reduced. Another key reason the Amish use straw is to suppress weeds. A thick layer blocks sunlight from reaching weed seeds in the soil, stopping them from sprouting. This reduces the need for constant weeding, saving time and effort, especially in large gardens. Unlike plastic or synthetic weed barriers, straw is biodegradable and actually improves the soil as it breaks down. As the straw decomposes, it adds organic material back into the ground. This improves the soil's structure, making it more crumbly and easier to work with. It also boosts microbial activity, which is essential for healthy plant roots and nutrient absorption. Over time, soil enriched with straw mulch becomes darker, richer, and more fertile. The Amish often get straw from local farms or reuse what's left from animal bedding. It's important to use clean straw, not hay, since hay can carry unwanted seeds. In colder months, they also use straw mulch to insulate the ground and protect overwintering crops. It's an all-season strategy that supports plant health from seed to harvest, the natural way. Number 5. Use of companion planting. Companion planting is one of the smartest and most natural techniques the Amish use to keep their gardens healthy, productive, and chemical-free. Instead of relying on sprays or store-bought fertilizers, they simply grow the right plants next to each other. It's all about creating a small ecosystem where each plant supports the others. Some combinations help with pest control, others improve flavor or growth, and many do both. A great example is planting basil next to tomatoes. The scent of basil helps confuse pests like aphids and hornworms that love tomato plants. On top of that, many gardeners say basil actually improves the flavor of the tomatoes. This combo is so common on Amish farms that it's often planted together from the start. Another classic Amish pairing is marigolds with just about anything. These bright flowers aren't just for looks. They naturally repel nematodes, tiny soil pests that damage roots, and also help keep away whiteflies and aphids. The strong scent of marigolds acts like a barrier, keeping insects away from vegetables like cucumbers, beans, and lettuce. The best part? Marigolds are easy to grow and bloom all season. Carrots and onions are another team the Amish often use. The smell of onions masks the scent of carrots, keeping away carrot flies. Meanwhile, the carrots help break up the soil, making room for onion bulbs to grow. That's 2 jobs handled by 2 plants, no chemicals needed. Amish farmers also avoid pairing plants that compete with each other or attract the same pests. They keep notes on what works and pass those combinations down through generations. It's not guesswork, it's observation and tradition. In the end, companion planting saves space, reduces pests, boosts harvests, and keeps everything balanced naturally. That's why it's such a big deal in Amish gardening. Number 6, crop rotation for soil health. Crop rotation is one of the oldest and most important organic gardening practices used by the Amish, and it's something they take very seriously. At its core, it's about not planting the same type of crop in the same spot year after year. That's because each type of plant uses different nutrients from the soil, and planting the same crop repeatedly can strip the soil of specific nutrients, while also encouraging pests and diseases that target that particular crop. The Amish divide their crops into families, like nightshades, tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, legumes, beans, peas, brassicas, cabbage, broccoli, kale, and root crops, carrots, beets, onions. Each year, they rotate these plant families through different parts of the garden in a planned cycle, usually over a 3 or 4 year rotation. For example, if tomatoes grew in one bed last season, that bed might get beans this season, followed by carrots next year, and then cabbage the year after. Then, the cycle repeats. This approach helps in a few big ways. First, it balances soil nutrients naturally. Legumes, for instance, actually add nitrogen to the soil, which helps feed the next crop planted there. Second, it breaks pest and disease cycles. Insects and pathogens that target specific crops often overwinter in the soil, so when their host plant doesn't return the next year, their life cycle is interrupted. That means fewer pests and less disease without using chemicals. Amish gardeners don't rely on charts or apps. They use notebooks, memory, or even markings on fences to track crop locations. It's a low-tech method, but it works. Over time, crop rotation leads to healthier soil, stronger plants, and more reliable harvests, all with less effort and fewer problems. That's why it's at the heart of Amish organic gardening. Number 7. No-dig gardening approach. The Amish are known for doing things the simple, natural way, and their approach to gardening is no different. One of their most effective and low-maintenance techniques is called no-dig gardening. Instead of constantly turning or tilling the soil like in traditional gardening, they leave it undisturbed and build layers of organic material right on top. Here's how it works. They start by clearing the surface of any large weeds or grass, but they don't dig down. Then they lay down a thick layer of compost, aged manure, or even kitchen scraps, all of it organic and broken down naturally. On top of that, they add mulch like straw, leaves, or wood chips. This layering system mimics the way nature builds soil in forests, slowly and from the top down. Why don't they dig? Because digging breaks up the natural structure of the soil. There's a whole hidden world underground, worms, fungi, and beneficial bacteria, that's constantly working to keep the soil healthy. When you dig it up, you disrupt that system and expose it to air and sunlight, which actually harms it. The Amish let that underground life do its job undisturbed. Another huge benefit of no-dig gardening is weed control. That mulch layer blocks sunlight, making it hard for weeds to sprout. Over time, the layers break down and feed the soil, improving its fertility without chemicals. It also holds in moisture better, meaning you water less. For busy people or anyone who wants a more hands-off garden, this method is a game changer. It takes a bit of setup, but once those layers are in place, you can plant directly into them. The result? Stronger, healthier plants, fewer weeds, and a garden that basically takes care of itself. Just like the Amish do, quietly, naturally, and with great results. Number 8. Sheet mulching technique. Sheet mulching is a smart and simple gardening method used by the Amish to create healthy, low-maintenance garden beds without disturbing the natural soil structure. It's all about mimicking what happens in nature. Think of how leaves fall in a forest, creating rich layers of organic material that feed the earth over time. The Amish use this layering technique to control weeds, build soil fertility, and conserve water, all without using synthetic inputs. The process starts with clearing the area of large debris like rocks or thick weeds. There's no digging involved, which is why this method is also great for protecting the microbial life in the soil. The first layer is usually cardboard or several sheets of newspaper laid down directly on the ground. This acts as a weed barrier. It blocks sunlight, stopping existing weeds from growing, and as it breaks down, it feeds beneficial microbes in the soil. Next comes a thick layer of compost. This can be homemade or well-aged manure, rich in nutrients that plants need. It serves as the main source of food for the soil and will eventually be drawn down by worms and insects, improving the soil below. The top layer is mulch, typically straw, wood chips, dried leaves, or even grass clippings. This keeps moisture in the soil, insulates the roots of plants, and continues to block out any new weed seeds. As it breaks down, it also adds more organic matter to the system. The beauty of sheet mulching is that over time, it transforms poor soil into a dark, rich, crumbly material full of life. Amish gardeners rely on this technique to prepare new planting areas with minimal effort and zero chemicals. It's a low-tech, high-impact method that's perfect for both beginners and seasoned growers. Number 9. Seed saving for future planting. One of the most valuable practices in Amish gardening is seed saving, a time-tested method they rely on every season. Instead of buying commercial seeds each year, the Amish carefully collect seeds from their healthiest, most productive plants. This tradition not only saves money, but it also strengthens future crops, making them more resilient and better adapted to local growing conditions. The process starts with observation. During the growing season, Amish gardeners keep an eye on which plants perform the best. Ones that resist pests naturally, survive dry spells, or produce the most flavorful fruits and vegetables. These are the plants they choose to save seeds from. It's a form of natural selection, but it's done by hand, season after season. Different crops require different methods. For example, seeds from dry crops like beans, peas, and corn are easy to save. Once the pods or ears are fully mature and dry, they're harvested and stored in cool, dry containers. For wet-seeded vegetables like tomatoes or cucumbers, the Amish will scoop out the seeds, rinse off the pulp, and air dry them thoroughly before storage. Labeling is essential. Seeds are stored in envelopes or small jars, marked with the variety and the date collected. Amish families often pass down seeds from generation to generation, preserving rare heirloom strains that aren't sold commercially. By saving seeds, they not only avoid dependence on seed companies, but they also maintain a deep connection with their land and food. Year after year, the plants remember the soil, the climate, and even the challenges they faced. This leads to better germination, stronger plants, and harvests that just keep improving. It's not just practical, like it's a living tradition that keeps their gardening self-sufficient, organic, and in harmony with nature. Number 10. Natural pest control methods. The Amish rely heavily on natural solutions to manage pests in their gardens, avoiding synthetic pesticides that can harm both the environment and the long-term health of the soil. Instead of reaching for a spray bottle filled with chemicals, they work with nature, not against it, to keep harmful insects in check. One of the most effective methods the Amish use is planting pest-repelling companion plants. Marigolds are a classic example. Their strong scent confuses many insect pests like aphids, whiteflies, and nematodes. The Amish often tuck marigolds between rows of vegetables or around garden borders, creating a natural barrier. They also use herbs like mint, basil, and rosemary, not just for cooking, but for deterring mosquitoes, beetles, and cabbage moths. Another common strategy is using strong-smelling plants to protect more vulnerable ones. For example, onions and garlic are planted near lettuce or carrots to drive away root maggots and leaf-eating insects. Nasturtiums are another favorite. They attract aphids away from crops like beans or cucumbers, acting like a trap plant. Manual pest control is also a big part of the Amish gardening routine. It might sound old-fashioned, but hand-picking beetles or caterpillars off plants in the early morning is still one of the most effective and immediate ways to control outbreaks. They also use simple tools like row covers made from light fabric to physically block pests while allowing sunlight and rain to reach the plants. Some Amish gardeners even make homemade sprays using garlic, chili peppers, or soap diluted in water. These mixtures are sprayed directly on the leaves and stems to repel insects without damaging the plant or contaminating the food. All of these techniques support a healthy garden ecosystem where beneficial insects like ladybugs and bees are left unharmed, a balance that keeps the garden thriving.